Good evening everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are going to be continuing our Love Actually street. I'm basically mimicking the exact way that the street looks out of the film in The Sims 4. If you missed the first episode of this, please check in the description below and I have linked that there as well. I am also adding this to an entire playlist that's just sort of all festive related sort of builds that I'm doing in The Sims 4, and I can keep adding on to this year after year as there are a lot of sort of cute like little festive videos that you can make for sort of the holiday season. So if you missed the first one and you don't want to watch the first one, that's fine, but basically we're using Google Maps here in order to get an idea of what it looks like and just making the street as realistic as possible. In this episode we should also be doing the pink house, which is the big one that I think a lot of people think about when they think of Love Actually. Okay, so the first house that we're going to continue to build off of I think is this one. I think I'm going to try and stick to mainly this side of the street in this episode, just so that we can get that pink house built, which I really want to build because it just looks absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to be starting on this sort of blue and yellow house, which I think it looks super cool. In our last episode we kind of worked out how to do this roof part, and I'll just demonstrate it again just in case like you guys wanted to try and replicate it. But basically what I've been doing is using half walls and then a platform in order to try and make this weird top bit, because as you can see it's basically a rooftop garden up here. We can't see it amazingly on the Google view obviously because it's taken from the street, so as you kind of look up then you don't really see the whole thing. But basically what I'm using is these little half walls, which I'm trying to get them so they're the same height. I think it's the one above this, and then we're basically just going in adding what is these little windows here. I can't see what's like exactly on top of here. We can just see that there's a railing, so like this is kind of what I think it looks like. And then we've got one on the other side as well. So for this one we've got two, and the stairs, I'm trying to work out where the stairs are for this one. Do we even have stairs for this side? Okay, weirdly enough we actually don't have any stairs on this blue one. I don't know whether maybe only some of them have stairs, some of them don't. I guess this one also doesn't have like a balcony bit, whereas the one next to it has this balcony. So it's just windows, no stairs, which is fine. Makes it a little bit easier for me. So what I think I'm going to do is just do one and then two. I think if we do just two next to each other. My main concern is whether we can get the bright yellow windows and things that are in this, because these windows are just so cool. I really hope that we can sort of mimic that. And then once you've added those in, you can literally just pull these out, and I have to like re-add in the front ones. But that's basically how I've been kind of doing them, and then I've been just colouring them in however it best fits. We can then go ahead and basically just grab the like roof bit that we've got here and just stack it there, and you can actually just pull it straight the way through. It doesn't need to be separate. I really do wish that we could see like what is on top of here, because from the looks of it in this picture we have like trees and things on top of this roof. I'm gonna try and maybe do the roof right at the end, but at the minute we're just kind of dealing with all of this outside section. I'm sort of sectioning them all off inside as well into their sort of individual little flats, so that then we can do these rims, because they're all like different colors. I don't even know if we can get this one in blue, so we might be like it might not work super great. Oh no, we can get it in blue. Okay, perfect. And it is like this same kind of texture, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that in. And then for the actual like sections here, it kind of looks like it's still got the blue brick, so if we can just try and find blue brick, which I feel like we're really not going to get. I mean, I'm hoping that we can. If we can't get blue brick, we'll have to just go with like blue paint. There are some kind of blue bricks. Let's just have a look at all of the blue and see what we've got to pick. So obviously this is very similar, so I'm going to put that there just as a reference. But if we can get it in brick, I would much rather get it in brick. Okay, without it going too dark, I did find this one, which isn't, I actually don't think it is brick. I think it's actually wood, but it fits really well with the kind of style, and it even has this line for some reason, which fits really well with the actual design on the building itself. The only annoying part is that it's a very different shade to this bit here, which is supposed to be the same color. We do have a couple of other choices for this rim though. I might go with one that is more closely representing the color, which annoyingly is a completely different pattern, but I do kind of need it to fit with it, otherwise it's just going to look really odd. Okay, we're getting there. I think now we just need the cute little like yellow windows, which I'm really concerned I'm not going to be able to get them as bright as they actually are in this image. They clearly repaint them quite regularly because everything on this building is so bright. Let's see if we can get anything. Oh, there's barely any windows. I also wouldn't even say that this is yellow. That looks like sort of a lime green color. I mean, actually, maybe it is yellow. Am I just seeing it weirdly? it kind of looks yellow. That's probably the closest that we're actually going to even get to it. I mean, I'd say these are yellow. Like, that's clearly way more yellow than the other ones. And unfortunately, like, most of them are really large windows as well. So we do not have a lot of choices when it comes to yellow. These are also, they have like yellow on the inside and then a white frame to them. I actually feel like this might be the closest that we can actually get, so I think we're gonna have to deal. There is also like, there's one big window here, and then there's smaller windows here, which, given how little amount of windows we have, I don't even know if we're gonna be able to pull that off. We might just have to stick like 2 of these right next to each other. Then we could do something like this down here, and then we've got the 2 doors. Hopefully we have yellow doors. Let's just have a look. We do have to do this top section as well, which I don't know if these are actually going to fit. They do not fit. Can I alt them? Actually, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's fine. It's close enough. Yeah, that kind of works. Cool. Okay, and then we need to see if we can find yellow doors that match this same shade. So if we're looking at just yellow doors, this is literally all we have. So it's not many in the slightest, so I'm just gonna have to try and find ones that kind of work the best. Again, these ones, similar to the other ones around here, they all have like an additional window directly above the door, so it doesn't make it like super difficult. Weirdly enough though, these doors are actually just like a plain yellow and you can't even get them in plain yellow. I'm just trying to find ones that at least even match the tone, and none of them seem to even do that. So I'm gonna go with this one here just because it is quite plain, and that's kind of what that door looks like. I'm just trying to work out which one to do for the other door. Maybe this one. It's still kind of yellow a little bit, and then if we're adding a window above it, it might look a bit different. Or I can go with this one, which that's not really the same shade. We could just do the same door on both sides, to be fair. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I'm gonna put that one there, and then there were little yellow windows here that we can just add in directly above. Again, it looks a little bit odd just because it isn't the perfect sizing, and then what I can do is just pull this into here, and hopefully that should look okay. It's not the perfect sizing, it's kind of annoying. I could see if there's other doors that might look better. I'm still looking at this one, and at least this one would fit with that window better, maybe? Let's have a look. I mean, weirdly enough, it does actually kind of fit better. I wonder if I pulled this to the side and we can just use these 2 windows crossing over each other to make it look better. I mean, I think it's kind of realistic to the way that it looks on there. It's not nearly as nice, but I think we don't really have a lot of choices. And now the more I'm looking at it, the more that I see these windows are green, but I just don't think we have that much choice because there really isn't enough yellow windows. I'm contemplating just using this one, which is like sort of yellow. If we can change it to that, I still feel like that's more yellow than the sort of olivey greeny color that it picked anyway. And I think that that also just looks better because at least everything kind of matches then. Yeah, that looks a little bit nicer. Cool. So I think that's that one done. We can then move over to the next house. I think we do have fences as well between each of these sections. And I think they're just like these small ones here. So I'm just gonna section it all off. So then if we go ahead and look at the next house, we've got this sort of very big black and white looking house. It's also got this crazy part right at the top of the building, which is again where the balcony is, but it's like got a lot of windows compared to the other one that we did, and it's got like a whole box of plants directly on top of it. Don't know if you guys can see that well enough. If I zoom in a lot, you can kind of get an idea of what that top part looks like, so we'll do that first. So I've gone in and added all of our different shapes. We can then go ahead and just pull out this section, and then I'm actually gonna just pull this section entirely in so we can add in our stairs. Then grab our roof and just stick it on that side there, and then basically we need to do this little balcony bit that comes out here as well. So I'm just going to grab a fence in order to do that, and we're just using, I think we're just using this black one here. Yeah, this very basic looking fence here, and it basically just comes out a little bit and it just goes around enough that you could go out onto it. Then we can add in our stairs that takes us up to the weird little rooftop balcony area. And obviously we need to work out all of these plants that are directly on top of it as well. It's kind of like, I don't know, like this big tub of just plants. So I don't know if there is anything like that, or whether we're gonna have to actually make something like that so that they all fit in. Initially what I was thinking is that we could do this and just put multiple of these next to each other. I feel like that doesn't look too bad. That kind of looks like what it's like on the image. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then we need to change the room color, and obviously we need to start working on adding in the rest of our little bits that are around it. I have gone with like a darker color as well on this flooring just so that it looks more like metal. And then this one actually has a white trim going around this bottom part, which is nice and easy. It's quite a simple trim as well, so I don't need anything too extravagant. I think just go with something like this. Okay, now that we've done that part, we can have a look at the rest of the building itself. From actually looking at this, I feel like that's more like metal rather than black. The other one looked kind of black, and that one next to it also looks kind of black. So I feel like I might need to change that to be silver, but then we can go ahead and start working on what the rest of this building actually looks like. Okay, so for this building, we've got basically a very dark, almost black. I would say it's more like a dark grey color going basically all over this entire section here. I've changed it now so that it's got the silver kind of fencing instead. It should be quite easy for us to get a brick that's like quite a dark color. I feel like this one works really well, so I'm going to go with this one. Okay, now that we've done that, we can go in with our doors and windows, and thankfully they are just white, which is super easy and gives us like the most amount of options for our different windows. If we have a look at the top windows where the balcony is, I think there is actually, yeah, these which are literally perfect. Unfortunately, we've made it slightly the wrong size to be able to incorporate all of them perfectly. I don't know if we can just sort of overlap them or pick something different. I don't actually know. That is kind of annoying. I should have looked at that preemptively. Kind of just overlap them and it doesn't look too bad. It does a bit of a funny thing when you move it, but I think it looks fine because it looks sort of the most realistic, I guess. I'd rather it be actually a little bit further over, just so that that lines up with that bit of the metal like stairway. It doesn't fit properly, which is really bugging me. Let's see if there's any other windows that might work better. Here we go. So we've got like these ones which we could just stack up next to each other and they'll look fine. Yeah, they work pretty well. We don't have this like a bigger gap in between here though, which is kind of annoying. It would just go straight through it if we added an additional one, but I think that kind of looks, it's got the same vibe, so it's fine. Alternatively, we can just wiggle them all into each other. I feel like I'm spending way too much time looking at these little windows and trying to make them look perfect. I mean, I prefer that more. At least it looks a little bit more like they're all in line. Weirdly, on this house as well, we have a door that just doesn't lead to anything that's upstairs that's down here. I don't know whether maybe it once was connected to something else, but we do just have a floating door. So there's our weird little floating door, and then directly next to that we've just got like a kind of normal looking rounded window at the top, but I don't know if we're going to be able to find something that's rounded. So I'd say the closest thing we're going to get is this one. It's still rounded at the top, but it does have black on the inside, but I don't think that's too bad with the color palette that we've kind of gone with so far for this. And then again, for some reason, we have like these weird little storage bins outside the front door that we had at the start of this road. I don't know what they're for. I think it might just be like additional storage or maybe like grit for the floor or something like that. But we'll go ahead and add in our front door and our windows first, and then we'll work out how to do that sort of decoration that's outside. I know that it's a slightly lighter wood in the image, but I want to go with this one just because it does have that window directly above it. Then I'm thinking, even though this isn't split off exactly as the reference image, I'm just thinking about using this one because it's got that white part at the bottom similar to what this house has, and it weirdly goes all the way off to the side like that. So I guess we'll do that. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good. Now I've got to work out doing this sort of decoration that's out front. We've got these little planters here, and then we also have this weird box. There are also some cars that are down the street, so I might just incorporate some of those from Debug in order to just make it look a little bit more realistic. So I'm trying to see if I can find anything that's similar to that black storage box outside in just literally these little sort of storagey areas. It just basically needs to look kind of plain. This, to be honest, kind of works. It's a little bit too big, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller, and then we can just stick it here. I think that pretty much looks exactly like what that is. It just needed to be like a black box, to be honest. And then we also have these little like planters, and there's one directly outside of this window. This would work really well if it didn't have the like white parts on it, which is kind of annoying. Another option is that we could go with something like this and then just make it bigger. Those are really big flowers though if we end up doing that. I think this one looks a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go with this one, and we want to just do it so there's enough space for you to get past. Is that all right? It does look a little bit odd trying to do it in a way that it doesn't clip to the wall, because this is actually a wall item. I think that's about right. Cool. Okay, then we can move on to our next house, which is the pink house. Now this is the one I've been aching to make for a while. This is literally like, originally I was going to make the entire house, but there is literally like, I couldn't find any images at all of what the inside of the pink house actually looked like on Google or anything like that. There were a lot of images of what other houses on the street looked like, but none of what this actual pink house house looked like on the inside, which is kind of annoying. I think I did end up finding some images that might have been the pink house, but they were recently renovated images, and all of the inside of the house just looked like very modern and sleek, and I don't imagine that that's what, if the inside of the house was more in the film, which I think it is a little bit but not enough, it wouldn't be the same inside of the house regardless. So I was kind of just thinking we could just do the street instead. So there's a lot of plants outside of this part of the house, and weirdly, if we what is that? It looks like something's burnt, and obviously this isn't in the film, but if you have a look here, why does it look like the bench has been burnt? I feel like maybe someone was messing around trying to take pictures or something. I am actually, for this one, I'm gonna not use Google Maps. There are a lot of images of the pink house that we can easily find on Google instead. As you can see, we have like many references for the pink house. I'm trying to find it more accurately from the actual film itself. There are a lot of images of just other people taking like little selfies and things right next to it. Clearly it's quite like a obviously tourist attraction to kind of go and take a picture outside of it itself. There you go. So I'm going to use this image as the reference for what the house looks like, just because we get the most, like, we get literally from the like bottom to the top, and there's no weird perspectives like you get on Google Images. So I'm going to be using this one in order to get it to look as realistic as possible. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to like, share and subscribe. So we're going to start off by going with the same technique that we've done for the other houses. Luckily, we've kind of worked out a technique that works now, I think, for actually decorating this. I'm weirdly starting to feel like this actually does expand all the way to the edge of these rooftops, which I might fiddle around with later when we start doing more of the rooftop. I do kind of want to do the rooftop for this section though, just because it is kind of cool and I would like to just make it look as realistic as possible. I think part of the reason that this house actually looks really cool is because you've got this bright pink house and both buildings either side are black, which weirdly makes it just pop in the actual street itself. So we can go ahead and add in our little windows that are on the roof. We then need to also do another little balcony coming off of the front of it as well. Do you think I'm going to change all of these roof bits just so that they do have it going all the way to the end, just because that kind of looks like it does actually go all the way to this edge part here. Okay, weirdly it won't let me do it all the way to the edge. I think that's because it's a platform and not a room, so it's acting really funny, but we could definitely pull it so that it's just one square away, which I think is close enough. And we can go ahead and add in our stairs, and then we've got to add our little fence bit as well out the front, which for this one it just goes from this side across to the left. This one also seems to have plants on the top, but I can't really tell whether they're in planters or not. From the reference image it kind of just looks like they're just sitting there. So what I might do is actually use it's more like really flat, as opposed to these ones where they're clearly in a planter. So what I think I'm going to use is actually the flowers that you can get here, and I'm just going to stick them on top. I think that kind of looks like realistic to what it looks like in this. Then we've gone ahead and added in our roof, and it's starting to look a little bit like it. We definitely need to add in this bright pink color though, and I think that's where it's really going to pop. Another concern of mine is that I don't think we can actually get any of these trims in pink. We can get this one. Is that the same kind of pink? I mean, we'll put it there for now. If it looks a little bit strange, then we might just remove the trim, just because this, I want to look as realistic as possible. Let's go have a look at what we can do with the pink now. I'm a bit worried we're not going to have a lot of options. These are the only options we have for brick, so we definitely can't get it in brick, but I don't mind stretching to just having it painted. So I think this is kind of the closest pink that we're actually going to get. There's literally only like a handful of actual pink colors. That one's a little bit too peachy, and the rest of them kind of have like stuff on them, so it's not really something that you could add onto the outside of a house, but I think this one's kind of the closest we're going to get. And the trim doesn't look too bad. It does stand out a little bit, but it's not awful. We do not have a like trim for this that's in the right color, but I'm just going to go with maybe just this grey tone so it kind of meshes in with the roof that we've got there. We do also have planters on the outside of this, which I'm a little bit concerned is going to be really difficult, but let's have a look and see whether we can sort of fit those in. There's only like a couple, and there's a little plant just sitting in the actual balcony part as well. What I think I'm actually going to do is just make this a wall, just to make putting the planters on there a little bit easier. Then we can just change it to a fence after. So what I think I'm going to do is just do that, and then we can change it back to a fence. Then we just have like a very small grey box plant just directly in here. I'm just going to pop it, I think it's like kind of close to this edge part, like the corner here. So I'm just going to put it there. You won't be able to see it a massive amount, but it's just there for realism. Then I don't want to do all of the roof decorating right now, just because I do want to do it later, but I want to add a couple of bits in just so that it looks more realistic on this one house here. And then we can go in and do the rest of the outside, like the rooftop garden bits later. So annoyingly, we don't have this like metal archway, so I'm just trying to find other things that kind of fit that same vibe. We've got this, and then we've got a couple of ones where you'd get like married underneath them. So I'm just going to work out which I'd prefer, because obviously this one has less plants, but the other ones have like way more plants but are like metal potentially underneath. We've got like this one which kind of works as well. Can you get it in grey? You can get it in grey, so this one might actually work a little bit better. We do have this one as well, but this one's much bigger. It is round though, so it actually kind of works better. It's just annoying that they all have like plants on them. I would rather it just be a metal like shape. I think I'm going to go with the round one just because it does match the round shape that we've already got like in the actual one itself. Then what I think I'm going to do is actually just section all of these bits off, and we can have them being like plants and things in their own little like zone as opposed to plant pots. I do wish that we could get a better look of what it actually looks like up there, but I don't think we're really going to get that. We can then go ahead and basically just add like some grass or something in there, and then we can add in some trees. I'm trying to like look at what there is actually up there. There's sort of trees, but they're like very small. So I'm just going to add a couple of these and then maybe just add in some grass and plants and things. Maybe some like cute little bushes and stuff like that too. I feel like it would make sense that you've got like a cute little bench up there as well. So I'm just going to add a white bench or something right at the top. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. And then we can go ahead and do the rest of the front of our building, which is of course just like varying white shapes. So for our front door, I'm thinking of going with this one again, just because it does have the window directly above it. And weirdly, we do have another one of these kinds of windows. So I'm just going to basically drag it so that it's in the center. And then we have just like a cute little window like this, just on the side. Just double check that there's no other ones that might work a little bit better for that window there. Then weirdly, both of these ones up here, I think are Juliet balconies. So they are actually doors. So let's see if we can find some doors that kind of look like that. It shouldn't be too difficult, but I'm hoping we can find something that kind of looks the same. Problem is they're all huge, so I don't know if we're actually going to find something, if it's, because these are two doors, but they're obviously like quite skinny, and all of these, if we were to put two of those down, would be awful. I might actually have to go with a window instead, just because they all look horrendous. So I did find this one, and this one looks similar, and if we put two together it might work. Let's see if I can just sort of make my own little window. Yeah, I think that kind of works. And then obviously we'll need to put the Juliet balconies on there as well. I think that does actually kind of work though. Then I'm hoping that they have one that looks similar to what's in this without me having to like figure something else out. Okay, they have this one which is perfect but the wrong color. I think I'm just gonna have to stick with it though. I might have to move the windows over a little bit as well, just to kind of make it fit properly, just because these are very big. I'm trying to work out if there's a way that I could make this bottom part black just by like editing some stuff, but I don't know if it's possible. We do have a few more options for the actual balcony itself, but I just don't think any of them look as realistic and as similar to that one as this one does. Okay, I think we're just gonna have to deal with them not being black. It's a little bit annoying, but let's go grab a bite and hopefully we can get one in white. I think that's probably as close as we're gonna get. That's basically white. Stick that directly next to the door. Then of course we do have plants on the actual balconies over here as well, so we've got to go add those in. So I'm going to go with this one just because it's a black sort of boxy looking plant, and then we've got two additional plants on either side here, and I'm just using Alt-9 in order to raise it up so that it fits properly. There we go. I think that looks pretty similar now. We do have some box plants right out the front of the building as well. Also, I just realized I forgot these windows up here, so we're gonna have to go in and find something that works for those. I feel like even just like these ones maybe, or we did do smaller ones over on this other side, like this might work. Let's have a look, because I think these ones kind of do look the best, but obviously we'll have to make them white. Yeah, I think that is kind of as similar as we're going to get it. Then let's have a look at the plants that we'll have out the front. I really like this one. I think it looks really nice, and if we can get it, can we get it in black? I think that's yeah, that's sort of black enough. So we'll go with this one. I'll just pop it there. We do also have some ivy that kind of comes up behind here. So I'm going to do that in a second once we've just kind of worked out our second plant that's going to go here. I think this one kind of looks good. We do have a second one as well that's just like right next to it. I could just do 2 of these though, like this. Or that might actually just be the same thing. So I might just do that just to stick it inside and make it look like it's a part of that instead. I think that looks like as realistic as I think we're actually going to get it. Then let's have a look at the ivy. So I need to go back to Google Maps now and just have a look at what this next door house looks like, because I think the ivy might be coming from the house next door. So annoyingly, in this image, this house is clearly being redone or like fixed up or something, because it's got all of this scaffolding all over it. And actually the ivy isn't really present in the Google Maps version of this house, but I think there was a plant here in this corner that then reached up and around over the pink like house itself. So I think it's similar to what is actually on the other side of the road over down here, where we've got one big plant that then grows up over the building itself. So we should be able to sort of mimic what I did in the last house that has that very similar sort of style to it. So basically we're going to use this tiny tree here, make it smaller, and then we're just going to stick it here. And that almost acts as the beginning part of our ivy, even though it's coming like directly out of the floor. And then we can go ahead and add in a small amount of ivy just starting to grow from there. And it's not like crazy on this one compared to like the other one. There's a lot of ivy growing on the other one, so we can kind of do it a bit like more gentle. I think it's sort of like this. There you go. I think that's about right. It's just like a gentle ivy going up the side of it. We do also, I've just noticed, we haven't put pipes in any of these, and they definitely need them because there's like black pipes going across here that leads us all the way up top, and I think there might be some further down the road as well. So I'm going to make sure to include that because that's quite important. So we're going to add one there, and then I need to go along and just double check that there weren't any more. So there were basically them in every gap, which I for some reason missed. There is some on this side. I don't think that there's one on this side, but I'm not too sure. I might just include it anyway because it'd be a bit weird if it was missing it. We've then got them basically at every little like section where it switches to a new house, which somewhat also works as a little split between all of the different colors of the walls that we've picked. It kind of looks a bit nicer as well. Definitely adds to the realism, I think, of it too. And then we have the same thing as it splits on the other side, but we have only done one side in this, so it's not too bad. I think this one, I really wish it didn't have scaffolding all over it, just so we get a better idea of what it looks like, especially as even if I zoom sort of out, I can't really see the top of this building very well. I think the other one is probably, I think we can kind of go off of what we can sort of see in this little section here. It's clearly very similar to some of the other kind of houses. It does have different like railings though out the front on the balcony, which I think is quite good, so at least that mixes it up a little bit. And there is like a metal, I'm trying to see if that's a metal seat. Is that a seat? That is a seat, so we've got a little seat outside the front of it as well, and actually a light, which we haven't had on any of them so far. If this one's quite quick, then I might be able to do another house, but we'll see. So I'm gonna obviously start off with doing our classic shaping. I'm trying to work out, I don't think this one has stairs that leads upwards because there seems to be like sort of gaps in between the ones that let you go upstairs onto like the rooftop balcony. So once again, we've added all of our different little roof bits in to give us those windows. I'm trying to work out if it's the same blue as the other house. I don't think it is. I think it's a bit more of a desaturated blue than the one that we had previously, which we should be able to find quite easily. It does have this blue rim on it though that the other one has, so I'm gonna use that same one there. Let's see what other kind of blue brick we can get. So it's all the same kind of color, so these three don't really work. It's dark but not that dark, I don't think, so if we can get one that's somewhere in between, then that would be good, but I don't think we can. I could go with this darker color. It's sort of similar, I just don't know if it is a little bit too dark for it. Let's see if there's anything else that might work a little bit better. Yeah, there isn't really anything that has the same kind of like texture, so I think I will go with this darker color for this one. Then the windows are actually really simplistic windows. They're literally just 2 panels, so it should be again quite easy to find, but I realize every time that I keep saying that I then struggle to find something that actually looks like it. I mean, this one's pretty perfect, but I think it's actually way too long and we can't get it to go low enough where it'll fit, so I think we just go with the same ones that are next door. Then obviously we need to do our little balcony as well, which is literally just this tiny little section coming off here. We do need a door as well so you can go out onto the balcony. And the door that I think they're putting in at the minute just has like quite a few different panels on it. I think this one actually looks pretty perfect. Then for the railing, I think this one looks the most similar. If we can just get it in black, yeah, that should be fine. There we go. That's looking pretty realistic. And then we've got two, if you can see it slightly behind the scaffolding, two tiny little windows, which again, they seem to be really difficult for me to actually find in this game, even though they should be really simple. I think these are actually the closest to it, and there's literally just two of them, so I might have to just wiggle them around to make them fit a bit better, but they're just right next to each other. And then this little balcony here just has like a lot of plants on it, so we can just add a bunch of those in there. It looks like it's sort of a mix between some that are in little pots, and there's one that kind of looks similar to this if I make it a bit smaller. There you go. I think that's about right. We can't really see properly how many plants that there actually are. I'm just kind of like sticking a bunch on the balcony wherever it kind of fits, but I think that's about right. It's quite a few different plants. Then we've got our classic light as well that is out here, and this one literally looks so perfect. Then we can do our downstairs area, which the windows that they've got downstairs are a little bit different from the other ones. I think there's like a bit more flat section going on. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna mimic that, if I can even find that. Let's see what that is though. I mean, again, I'm just being drawn to this one just because it kind of looks the most similar. I don't think there's a lot else that kind of fits that same like style. We've got this one though. How's this one look? I mean, it's not bad. It's got cream in it, which is kind of annoying. I don't think we can get it in anything else unless we wanted a grey window on the inside, which is annoying. But I'm kind of thinking we just go with the same one that we went with over here. Yeah, we'll go with that one. And then we have a door and then a tiny window, so I might actually have to push it over a little bit. Oh, but it is kind of exactly there in the picture, so I guess I'm gonna have to stick with it. What's really funny is in the Google one, they actually haven't got a door, so I'm just gonna have to guess what the door looks like. They were definitely really renovating this given it didn't have a door. But again, it's got the same, it's basically the same door I think as this one, because it's got a little like window above it as well. And then we need to find a really tiny window to go here, and it's basically the same as this, but unfortunately that doesn't fit. Do we have a smaller window than that? What's the smallest window we have that isn't just like that little square? How big's this one? This one's really small, but it's got that horrible edge bit on it. I think this one's actually pretty perfect. What I think I'm going to do is just pull everything over a little bit in a way that hopefully you can't tell, and then we can just pop that there. And then of course we've got the little black bench that we noticed out the front as well. That's just a little metal one. I don't know if we're going to get one that's made out of metal though. We've got this one, but it doesn't come in black, which is kind of annoying. Oh no, does it? No, it doesn't. It's all blue. I think this one is kind of the closest shape that we're going to get, so we're going to have to go with that one. It's not even like properly black, I don't think. Can we get a black one? We can. Okay, that's better. So I think that's actually kind of it for that house. I think I will do just one more. We're going to do this white house, which is the one just literally right next to it. We do actually have a little bit of ivy and plants growing, similar to what we had going on to the pink house, so I'll include that too. And obviously we're going to start by doing this top part again, just because that's the bit that is just kind of a bunch of faff. I might actually have to make this little bench smaller and just make it a little bit not usable. It's very small in the image as well, to be fair. And then we need to basically do the same thing that we did last time, which is just grab a plant, stick it here, and then just grab some ivy. And again, there's not like a mad amount of it, so it should be quite easy to do. There you go. I think that's about right. And then we can sort of start sectioning off this part of the house. So this one does have stairs again, so we're going to have to section it all out so that we can put the stairs in too. And it's basically the same as the pink house where the stairs go through the middle. Okay, so once again, just to skip out all of the boring balcony parts, we've done our little balcony here and we've got our two windows. Now, this building is quite simple as well in its color. It's literally just white brick, which should be quite easy to get. I'm going to use this one just because I like the texture of the brick the most. And then for our rim, it's just kind of like this grey color. So I'm going to see if I can find something similar. I think it's sort of like that, but we can try and match what we've done up there a little bit. Actually, from looking at it, it doesn't even have a trim. So I think this is the only house that we've got that doesn't actually have a trim on it, which is very odd. So we can go ahead and remove those, and it's basically just this part that's the color. Then we do have Juliet balconies here, but I'm trying to work out whether I want to do it as a proper balcony like this, or whether it'd be better to just do it as like a little pre-made one. But I'm going to see what kind of options we have after adding in either windows or doors. I think it's very similar to the pink house that we did. They're very similar windows, and there is actually a smaller one and then a slightly bigger one. So let's have a quick look and see if there's any good black balconies. If there isn't, then I'll just have to create one, I guess. We do have a few. I will have to make them smaller so I don't know if that, actually it doesn't look too bad. I'm trying to work out like how much editing I'd have to do in order to make it look okay. The only issue it would be trying to make them the same size. I think I'm just going to make my own just because it kind of I think it will look better. The only issue is fitting it all in, so maybe I won't do that. It's really difficult to try and get it to actually look okay. So yeah, let's go with these ones, and what I'll do is I'll just add that one there, and then we could go with the smaller one, but I kind of feel like it needs to be 2. If I kind of push them together, it doesn't look as bad. I think that's fine. Then they have little plants on them too, which they've only got like 2 each or something on there, or like 2 in total. So I think I'm just going to go with these ones, and they have plants. There you go. I think that's pretty good. I think these should actually be swapped around though, just because that's a slightly smaller balcony technically, and that's supposed to be a slightly bigger one. And then the front door is a black front door next to this little one here. We haven't done the upstairs windows either, but I think that should be quite easy. I'm kind of just going with the same ones over and over again. I think it does kind of make the houses look like they all go together as well a little bit. But this one's a black door, so I'm thinking this one, just because again it's got that window there. I weirdly feel like this is a garage, but I'm not too sure, and I can't really get it in the proper color. It's basically just like white, but you can only get them in grays, which is kind of annoying. So let's see if I can somehow work out a decoration to make it look a little bit more realistic. It's got 2 like windows right at the top, but they're so small windows that I don't think I could count them as being like a full window like the other ones. There's just not enough window on the actual item itself. So if we go like that, we then basically just need to find something that's white that can go here. Okay, so I'm going to use these, which are just signs, and then I'm going to make them slightly smaller, and then they should, if I wiggle them around a bit, fit pretty well. Then we can put these just directly above them. Yeah, I think that's actually really similar. Then there isn't really anything else going on with that house. It's quite a simple house. So I think that's pretty good. I think we'll leave it there for today, guys. And there is another 5 houses complete on our road from the film Love Actually. I think that these ones actually came out really cool looking. I think that they're a lot more unique than the first episode's houses. I also really like that we finally got to do the pink house, which I think actually looks kind of realistic to the way that it looks in the films. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I post long content like this every Wednesday and Friday around 6 PM, and I try to post shorts the rest of the week. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the rest for the series. This is on the screen now, as well as another recommended video, so you should check that one out too, and I hope you all have a great evening.